Hello and welcome for our webinar on posterior triangle of the neck. Last time we have studied the anatomy of anterior triangle of neck, and today we will study the anatomy of posterior triangle of neck. My friends, I told you the sternocleidomastoid plays a key role in the division of quadrangular side of the neck into division of it in anterior and posterior triangle. You can see in this image, it is dividing anterior and posterior triangle of the neck. Sternocleidoid muscle is a strap-like muscle present on the neck which crosses diagonally, descends obliquely across the side of the neck, and it forms a prominent surface landmark on the neck, and it divides the side of the neck into two triangles, and those are anterior triangle and posterior triangle. You can see here, this is a strap like sternocleidomastoid. You can see the sternal head here, and you can see the clavicular head here. So both of these heads together form a belly of this muscle, and one insertion tendon which goes to the mastoid process of the temporal bone. So here you can see the anterior triangle of the neck, and here you can see the posterior triangle of the neck. Apex of both these triangles are opposite to each other. Okay, so don't forget this. This muscle is very important landmark muscle of the neck in the division of the triangles of the neck. Well, the neck is divided into anterior and posterior triangles by sternocleidomastoid muscle. The anterior triangle lies in front of the sternocleidomastoid muscle. You can see the red margin which is drawn here in this image, and the posterior triangle lies behind it, which is shown in a what you call a light green color or popty color. Okay, yes, popty is a good word. Here in this diagram, you can see the posterior triangle of the neck, which is shown in sky blue color. Now, what are the boundaries of posterior triangle of the neck? It is bounded anteriorly by posterior border of sternocleidomastoid, or you can say sternomastoid also. And it is bounded posteriorly by anterior border of the trapezius muscle. You can see trapezius muscle here. And inferiorly, it is bounded by the middle third of upper border of clavicle bone. Okay. Another important muscle in division of posterior triangle of neck is omohyoid. Okay. This omohyoid muscle has two bellies, inferior belly and posterior belly, and in between the two bellies there is a intermediate tendon. This image will show you the clear picture of omohyoid muscle. It is arising from the suprascapular notch here, this inferior belly, and superior belly you can see it is attached to hyoid bone, and in between these two bellies you can see the tendon, and the tendon is an intermediate tendon. Okay, here you can see the muscles which form muscle which divide posterior triangle into two subdivisions. The inferior belly of omohyoid muscle, only this one, subdivides the posterior triangle into large occipital triangle above and small supraclavicular triangle below. You can see small supraclavicular. So the green margin is shown to you, okay, with a line in between. That is a clear picture showing division of posterior triangle into two parts. This is not at all easy. Most of the time posterior triangle of neck is asked in exam as a full question. Okay. Now, what is the roof of triangle formed by? It is for both anterior triangle also and posterior triangle also. This is the side of the neck which is divided into anterior triangle and posterior triangle, and you can see all the subdivisions are also divided here. So of course the first comes to your mind, it should come to your mind actually, is the skin. So skin is the first component of surface of the side of the neck. So it forms the roof of the triangle. Superficial fascia, which contains platysma muscle and lots of cutaneous branches of cervical plexus, external jugular vein, and investing layer of deep fascia. So last time also I told you that investing fascia of deep fascia forms roof of the anterior triangle also. So this picture is quite clear. Okay, you can see it clearly. And uh, other structures which are running across the triangle in its curving are also forming the roof of uh, posterior triangle of the neck. Cutaneous branches of cervical plexus. You can see all these cutaneous branches here in the posterior triangle. So they also form the roof of the anterior triangle. Supraclavicular nerves, transverse cervical nerve, great auricular nerve, lesser occipital nerve, and so on. Here, the floor of the triangle is covered by the prevertebral layer of the deep cervical fascia. Prevertebral means just above the vertebrae. So it is deep. So that is why it forms the floor. Okay. And it other structures which are found in the flora. First is scalenus medius. From below upwards we are going. So scalenus medius muscle is here. Another muscle is levator scapulae. Next muscle is splenius capitis, and another is semispinalis capitis. So these are the muscles which form the floor of the posterior triangle of the neck. So I am showing you one by one with the help of that green arrow. So it was very easy for you to remember. Don't forget these diagrams, okay? And small part of the scalenus anterior is also seen here, which may be present, but it is usually overlapped and hidden by the sternocleidomastoid. So it is hidden here, okay? At scalenus anterior, small part. So this is the floor of the fourth posterior triangle of the neck. Here we can see the cross section of the neck showing you all the layers which are found from right from the skin up to the vertebrae. Okay, so it contains of the triangle as well as the roof and as well as floor. You can see through this picture. Now, what of the parts of the deep cervical fascia? Let us try to see. One is investing layer. Okay, here you can see the investing layer in this picture very clearly. Another is prevertebral layer just above the vertebrae. Another is pretracheal layer. So close to vertebrae, close to trachea, and investing means which invests the whole of the neck. Okay, these are the three parts of deep cervical fascia. And carotid sheath is also part of a investing layer, so it is also counted as a part of deep cervical fascia. Here, so we have seen carotid sheath while studying the anterior triangle of the neck. Well, here you can see the picture of deep cervical fascia. The skin is removed, superficial fascia is removed, and only the deep fascia is kept here to show you. The cutaneous branches of the cervical fascia, cervical plexus, and jugular vein are contains, and in the same time they run in the roof of the triangle that are seen here. And here this picture is showing you the platysma muscle on the both the sides. And platysma muscle is a subcutaneous muscle. While grinning, it comes out like if you grin like this, you can show it on your own neck also. You can see the what you call contracted platysma on both the side. Okay, platysma can be seen as a muscle of by asking the person to clench the jaws. What I am doing is a clenching like this. Clenching, if you do firmly, platysma is seen. It extends from the body of the mandible downwards over the clavicle into the anterior wall of the thorax. Okay. Now, what are the contents of posterior triangle of neck? Let us see about nerves. The main contents of posterior triangle as far as nerves are concerned, we see three trunks of brachial plexus: upper trunk, middle trunk, and lower trunk. So I'm talking about the trunk of brachial plexus, and four cutaneous branches of the cervical plexus. cervical plexus is above, and those branches, or you can say those cutaneous branches of cervical plexus are lesser occipital nerve, greater auricular nerve, and transverse cervical nerve. You have seen those in the image, and supraclavicular nerves. These are the four cutaneous branches of cervical plexus. Another content of the posterior triangle is a spinal accessory nerve. So accessory nerve is 11th cranial nerve, and it is in two parts, cranial part and spinal part. Spinal accessory or spinal part of accessory nerve is found in posterior triangle of the neck. And we see also arteries in the posterior triangle as far as contents of posterior triangle are concerned. We see third part of subclavian artery. Subclavian artery has got three parts. First part, second part, third part. Second part is below the first rib. So beyond the first rib, the part is subclavian artery, and it comes in posterior triangle. And suprascapular artery, transverse cervical artery, and occipital artery. These are the other arteries which are present in the posterior triangle. Now let us see which veins are present in the posterior triangle. One is subclavian vein. It is accompanying the subclavian artery. And external jugular comes in the posterior triangle of the neck from anterior triangle. It comes from anterior triangle. Now muscle, inferior belly of humoid, it is actually present in the posterior triangle because it is going to divide that triangle into two subdivisions. Brachial plexus, which is present in the posterior triangle, we will see through this diagram image. The brachial plexus is formed from the anterior rami of the cervical 4 and first thoracic, that 5, 6, 7, C5, C6, C7, C8 and T1. The brachial plexus is formed from anterior rami of the 4 cervical and 1 thoracic. It lies in the antero-inferior angle of the posterior triangle. Okay, little part you can see here, antero-inferior angle of the posterior triangle. Here you can see the roots of the brachial plexus which enter the posterior triangle of the neck through the interval between the scalenus anterior and scalenus medius. So between the scalenus anterior and scalenus medius, these roots of the brachial plexus are present, and those are seen here in this image. Accessory nerve, I told you it is in two parts, spinal part and cranial part. Cranial part goes towards the pharynx, oropharynx, so it is not seen here. But spinal part comes in the neck, so it is seen here. The spinal part of the accessory nerve enters the posterior triangle by emerging from beneath the middle of the posterior border of the sternocleidomastoid. So, here is a sternocleidomastoid muscle, and here you can see the accessory nerve which is emerging from the posterior border of the sternocleidomastoid and going to the trapezius muscle. Okay, it runs downwards and laterally across the posterior triangle on the levator scapulae muscle, and it's called a dangerous position as far as injury to this nerve is concerned. Here in this diagram, it is again quite clear. You can see the accessory nerve coming from the posterior border of, from the middle point of the posterior border of the sternocleidomastoid muscle. Other structure also we see branches of the cervical plexus we talked about, and you can see in this diagram branches of the cervical plexus. So I told you the cervical plexus is above the brachial plexus, okay, and it is for C1 to C4, because C5 onwards they take part in formation of brachial plexus. So C1, C2, C3, C4 they make a cervical plexus, and cervical plexus is formed by the anterior rami of C1 to C4, and cervical plexus gives several cutaneous nerves which emerge from the of the middle of the posterior border of the sternocleidomastoid muscle. They innervate parts of the skin in the head and the neck region. So that is the jurisdiction of these nerves. So it is required for the purpose of block anesthesia study which is required during surgery when you want to block a nerve for the purpose of surgical interventions. Now lesser occipital nerve, I want to show you through this image here, lesser occipital nerve, okay, which is actually coming from C2. Greater auricular nerve is coming from C3, combination of C2 and C3. The lesser occipital nerve is a branch of C2. It hooks around the accessory nerve and ascends along the posterior border of the sternocleidomastoid muscle. It supplies the skin over the lateral part of the occipital region and medial surface of the auricle. Auricle means external ear part, that is pinna. Great auricular nerve, it is related to again auricle. It is a branch of C2 and C3, okay? So it is joint branch. It ascends across the sternocleidomastoid muscle where it divides into branches that supply the skin over the angle of the mandible and the parotid gland and the auricle. Transverse cervical nerve is a here branch of C2 and C3. You can see through this diagram. And plus you can see superior root of ansa cervicalis, and here you can see the inferior root of ansa cervicalis. Okay, inferior root of ansa cervicalis. So ansa cervicalis we have seen during the study of anterior triangle. Transverse cervical nerve of the neck is a branch of C2 and C3. It emerges from behind the middle of the posterior border of the sternocleidomastoid muscle. It passes forward across that muscle and divides into branches that supply the skin on the anterior and lateral surfaces of the snake from the body of the mandible to the sternum. Supraclavicular nerves. Let us see the supraclavicular nerves through this image. Here you can see the supraclavicular, above the clavicle, so they are called as supraclavicular nerves. Supraclavicular nerves are branches of C2, C3 and C4. They emerge from beneath the posterior border of the sternocleidomastoid muscle here and descend across the side of the neck. They pass onto the chest wall and shoulder region and down to the level of the second rib. The third part of the subclavian artery, which we saw as the content of the posterior triangle, here you can see subclavian artery. On left side is coming directly from arch of aorta. On right side it is a branch of brachiocephalic trunk which comes ultimately from arch of aorta. The subclavian artery is divided into three parts by the scalenus anterior muscle which crosses in front of the artery. The first part medial to the scalenus anterior. Here you can see in a highlighted portion. Second part lies behind the muscle, okay, behind the muscle. Here you can see. Below is the first rib, okay. And third part extends from the lateral border of the muscle to the anterior border of the first rib, where it is continuous as a axillary artery here. So everything is again shown here in these two images. The third part of the subclavian artery enters the anterior inferior angle of the posterior triangle and disappears behind the middle of the clavicle. Behind the middle of the clavicle here. Superficial cervical artery, you can see in this image. It is a branch of thyrocervical trunk of the first part of the subclavian artery. The subclavian artery gives out a branch called as thyrocervical trunk, and superficial cervical artery is a branch of thyrocervical trunk. It runs across the lower part of the posterior triangle and disappears deep into the trapezius muscle here. You can see trapezius muscle. Now suprascapular artery. Suprascapular artery is also a branch of the thyrocervical trunk. It runs across the lower part of the posterior triangle. It follows the suprascapular nerve into the supraspinous fossa of the scapula and takes part in the anastomosis around the scapula. Suprascapular means above the scapula. Now let us see the occipital artery here. You can see that artery in this image. It is a branch of ECA. ECA means external carotid artery. It enters the posterior triangle of the neck at its superior angle. Here, it is shown here. Appearing between the sternomastoid muscle and trapezius muscle. It is between these two muscles. Then it ascends in a tortuous course. Tortuous means spiral. Over the back of the skull, accompanied by the greater occipital nerve. So, nerve which accompanied greater occipital, and artery is only occipital. Now let us see external jugular vein. Here you can see the external jugular vein which is formed by posterior branch of retromandibular vein and posterior auricular vein. Here you can see, whereas anterior branch of retromandibular vein you can see on this side. The external jugular vein begins just behind the angle of the mandible, just behind here, by the union of posterior auricular vein and posterior division of the retromandibular vein. Most of the time, internal jugular vein is also asked in exam. What are the tributaries of IJV? One is posterior auricular vein, second is posterior division of the retromandibular vein, because they form that. Then comes transverse cervical vein. Then comes suprascapular vein. Then comes anterior jugular vein. Then posterior external jugular vein, a small vein that drains into the posterior part of the skull and neck. Now, what is the applied anatomy of posterior triangle of the neck? We call it as a Wry neck. Wry neck, W-R-Y neck. That's the important one. You can see these two pictures. It's also called as muscular torticollis and spasmodic torticollis. Where there is a spasm of trapezius and sternocleidomastoid muscle. Okay, so you can see the vein in the neck. And other parts of applied anatomy of the neck includes those nerve block for anesthesia. For the purpose of anesthesia, we require to block those. We saw so many nerves, mostly subcutaneous nerves. For that purpose, that posterior triangle of neck is important. You can block even you have seen the roots of the brachial plexus, trunks of the brachial plexus. That is why it becomes surgically significant triangle. And for muscular part of applied anatomy, we consider these two conditions: muscular torticollis and spasmodic torticollis, called as Wry neck. And with this, my dear friends, we will end today's webinar on posterior triangle of neck. Posterior triangle of the neck is commonly asked in exams, so that is why we have discussed this posterior triangle of neck in quite details. Now, if you consider the subdivision of the posterior triangle, and if you want to talk about the boundaries of them, for example, supraclavicular triangle is a subdivision of posterior triangle. Now, supraclavicular triangle will have superolaterally inferior bilium omoid, superomedially posterior border of the sternocleidomastoid, and inferiorly by middle one third of clavicle. Okay, And if you go in the occipital triangle, it is bounded anteriorly by posterior border of sternocleidomastoid, posteriorly by anterior border of trapezius, and inferiorly by superior border of inferior belly of omoid. So this imagination only can help you to mention about the different borders. Everything can't be done by heart. That is why I've shown you all these pictures of any different pictures of neck, as far as which are required to understand the anatomy of posterior triangle of neck. And with this, let us end this today's topic. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, we will stop here. Yes. And this is my book on anatomy. It's called Essentials of General Anatomy. It contains whole of the general anatomy, right from the introduction up to, you know, embryology and all general osteology, general myology, general arthrology, and general idea about all the systems like nervous system, GIT, respiratory system, all the systems. This book is available with the IBPP New Delhi, and this picture is taken from Mahalakshmi Homeopathic Medical College, Raigaon, Satara, where this book was available in the library of that college. And hope this book is available in your colleges also. It is available in my college also. Any questions? Okay, there is no question. Let us end this webinar here. Have a nice day and see you back on some other day with some other topic. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Good day.